What's up family, it's Kiahonfire and welcome back to Conan Exiles. Today I'm doing a video about the fluid press. Now there are many things this press can do that you might not know about or you might already know. But this video is pretty much going to wrap it all up in a sweet little bun for you, and you will pretty much know and have good knowledge about what it can do. So we're going to start off with box number 1 right here. You can see there is a number of items in here that are quite different from each other. If you ever get putrid meat, which you most likely will, normally sometimes people will throw it away or they will use it as their compost. However, if you don't have a use for either of those at the time, a really good thing to do with your spoiled meat is to actually stick it in the fluid press, because it will make you ichor for about 50 spoiled meat. So instead of having all this spoiled meat lying around the base, you can transform it into something that is more useful. The other alternative is the other glands in here. So we have the volatile gland and the venom glands of both kinds. You can also use this the same way as the spoiled meat to make ichor if you can't have any uses for them. So if you pop the glands in here, you can see for these it's going to take 20 each for 1 ichor. So that is pretty expensive on that ground, but still, there you go. Our next chest is this chest. Well, this might seem a bit peculiar, skulls and human flesh, but you can use them for something very good if you have a spare amount. Usually in Conan Exiles, because of all the god ritual stuff, you'll have a lot of human flesh left over, and you usually end up chucking it out. However, there is a better thing to do with this, and then you can use that byproduct as using something else to make a good food. You can actually grind the human flesh in the fluid press, and it will give you 1 for 1, 1 blood for 1 human flesh. But you're about to see where this comes in extremely handy. If you're to take this blood out of the fluid press and then you go over to a campfire or something that burns food and place the blood in there, it will make you blood sausage. Blood sausage is a mid-grade food, which means it's going to heal way better than any of the low-grade stuff, so it may be handy mid to low game. If you get some blood there, you make sausages, you get a lot of human flesh anyway, so why not? And of course, if you have a lot of skulls, if you get it from the Dafari camp or anything like that, you live in that region, you can actually stick it in the fluid press as well, and grind it for a bit of material, so you can get bones and blood out of it. Now on to our next one. It is coal. If you saw my video the other day, you would have seen what I did with this, but for everyone's sake here, if you haven't seen that, then I'm going to just demonstrate it quick here. If you're to put coal in the fluid press, it will actually make tar. It's going to take you about 25 coal to make 1 tar, so yeah, it is expensive. However, if you have a lot of coal or live in an area with a lot of coal and perhaps you're having difficulties making tar, or you're in a pinch, there you go, you can make some tar with coal. Our next one is berries. Now, if you harvest a lot of berry bushes in the highlands or the desert, you'll end up getting a lot of these berries. And you can actually press them in the press to make a berry pulp. These can be used in alcoholic recipes, or they can be used in different things. However, you can get a lot of pulp for your berry. You will get free pulp for 5 berries, which is a really good conversion, and these really help with hydration. If you're having trouble with water sources or anything like that, you can make yourself some berry pulp. It will give you about 10 hydration per, so it's not very good, but it is kind of good for the amount it gives you per berry. So that is a quick first there. If you have them spare berries and you have nothing to do with them, then using them in the fluid press to make the pulp is always a good idea. Moving on to our next chest, we have all these seeds. All sorts of seeds, lotus seeds, normal plant seeds, aloe seeds, normal seeds. Yeah, there's just a load here, and you'll notice we also have fish. Now, what an odd combination here, but they all will do the same thing when you put them in the fluid press. So we'll pick some aloe and we'll bring it over to the fluid press, and you'll see once we put it in, it's actually going to press it down into oil. 15 seeds will give you 1 oil, which is a pretty good conversion because I always find myself drowning in loads and loads of seeds from different things. Also, if you need a fuel source, fish is also really easy to get in Conan, and you can press this for oil as well. Although I don't really recommend pressing down unappetizing fish because they can be used for ichor, and that is way more useful. However, if you don't really need any ichor or you have just abundance of fish, then more the merrier, definitely do this method, because the unappetizing fish will give you 1 for 1. That means 1 oil for 1 fish, which means you can get a ton of oil this way. The other fish I always find myself grinding down because I like to use other food sources. However, other people may use fish strips, but I prefer to put them in the fluid press. They are not for 1 for 1 though. These two will take a little bit more to make the oil, but it's still a pretty good method. You can see it's taking 5 savoury fish to get an oil out of this one, and then for the exotic it's going to take 10 to make 1 oil. But you should end up with a good inventory of oil by the end of it, which you can use on much more useful items. Moving on to our next gruesome chest, this is corpses. Now, if you found in the exiled world you've picked up a baby and perhaps you've run out of space in your taming pen, and then you just have the baby dies and then the corpse is left behind, well, you don't have to just chuck this out. You can actually use it in the fluid press to give you a number of different things. The 2 core materials you'll usually get out is blood and bone. However, different things can give you different things, so let me just pull out a random selection of items such as a boar baby or things like that. We'll pick out a random selection that gives us little bits of different things, and I'll show you how actual useful these can be. You can actually do this on purpose as well with babies if you want a certain material really easy. An example of that, our first one we're sticking in is the elephant baby, and you can see the product it's given us is a lot of elephant hide, some blood and bone. Elephants can be a pain to kill, so if you just steal their babies and let them die, then you can actually harvest the elephant hide out of them. You could do the same with rhinos. It's really gruesome, but it works. It really does. Next we'll move on to our gazelle. We'll grind that up. That should give us some more normal materials. As you can see, it's given us some hide and blood and bone. And then you get the kind of same gist with this. You get the ostrich, you get feathers out of it. And then if we go on to the rock nose, that will be slightly different because it will give you not blood and bone, it will give you rock, crystal and brimstone. However, if you get a rock nose baby that is dying and is a silver or gold, you can grind them as well and they will give you a different byproduct. So the silver one should give you silver, and if you were to grind a gold one, it would give you some gold. And then we have the scorpion. If we were to put this into grind, this gives us slightly different things. It would give us some chitin and some blood. You can also get the same kind of products when you are to grind a shaleback baby, which means really easy chitin if you need some, that and bone and blood. So that is a really nice way to go about it and get those kind of materials. You can see they soon stack up. It is gruesome, but it works. Next chest we're moving on to is actual animal skulls. You can get these when you kill something and the skull gets harvested. And a number of them can give different things. It's usually mostly blood and bone. However, some heads can give you demon blood, which is handy if you really want demon blood. So if you grind different bits and pieces, you can see we can get bone, we can get 2 different types of blood out of there. And you just kind of get the gist with that. It will be mostly the same for each and every one. You get different bits and bobs. But anyway, that is pretty much everything in the fluid press guide today. If you want to see any more of my guides, then you can go in the description down below. I've left a playlist there that is full, jam-packed, full of Conan Exiles guides that should be really, really handy and helpful when you're playing Conan Exiles. But anyway, thank you for watching. I love you all, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!